Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma, issue 5, Ram V writing, and ANAND R. I'll just say ANAND R. That's not. I won't try and butcher his name.
ANAND RK is, I believe, how it
RK.
gets.
Sorry,
it gets
ANAND
put into
RK.
print.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. I knew it was abbreviated in some form. So, yeah, I mean, this book is wild every month, and I'm very sleep deprived, and this is the sort of book I worry about talking about when I'm sleep deprived, because I'm like, well, I form a coherent thought the entire time I talk about this. We'll find out. So this issue, obviously we teased Human Target at the end of the last one. This issue has kind of like him talking to Human Target and recounting some of the regrets that he has in his life. And they talk about regrets. He talks about how regrets are only kept because they're connected to memories worth keeping. Otherwise, they wouldn't be regrets. And, so it kind of gets into some of his, memories. And it really talks about this idea of, what has each of his lives mean and how much of it's important. Because ultimately, the plan that they've got in this issue to defeat the alternate future version of Resurrection Man, the hooded figure, whatever we want to call him, who is
Samsara,
constantly spying on him, who is, constantly knowing what he's going to do, is that Human Target's going to enact a plan that Resurrection Man himself does not know how where it's going to go. And part of that plan is going to be to remove all of his memories. And that's kind of like where this all goes. So he has a whole plan where he explains some of it to him, where it's like, hey, you had a job interview. Obviously, he didn't. I assume Human Target put on a mask and went and did it himself. But he's like, you had a job interview. You're going to work at this law firm in South Carolina. It's a whole thing. You're looking into these mob bosses. They don't like it very much. They're going to try and scare you, but ultimately they're going to come after you, and that's what they're going to do because you're sort of poking your nose where they don't want it. And this is going to lead, Resurrection Man stops him from talking here because, like, hey, I shouldn't know anymore. But the way it goes is that these mobsters blow up where he's working in order to kill him, and Human Target at that point takes over the role of Resurrection Man, so that the hooded man, Samsara, is following and watching him. And instead, Resurrection Man is, basically taken to surgery in secret to get this procedure done to remove his memories of every life he's ever had. And there's a nice little point here where the surgeons doing the surgery don't know exactly who this is or anything like that. And they say, I don't see how he could survive this procedure. And one of them says, we were told not to worry about that. And that makes sense because he's going to come back. Yeah, this is probably going to kill him, but he's Resurrection Man, so who cares? But the other detail, and this is kind of like sweet in a way, is that he has the I'm going to call it the cosmic cube, like the cube that his missus made, the woman that he loved, and he stole it because it was too dangerous, all that stuff. He has that hidden inside his brain, like it's put inside his brain, so he's got a part of her inside of him.
It's in his heart.
Or sorry, in his heart. It was inside his body, right?
Yes. Yeah. But still, the part that it's in his heart, because this is his one regret, right? Was stealing from her and her dying in the way that she did, and he's trying to remove all his regrets and all of this. So yeah, they got to there, and I was like, oh my god, this went wild.
Yeah, so that's happening, and that's real throughout. And obviously, Human Target's pretending to be Resurrection Man, and he's pretending to be homeless, and he's going through all this stuff. And Samsara comes to him and demands to know where the cube is and all that. And when he opens the little lockbox that he thinks it's in, it's actually just like a Resurrection Man keychain that's glowing. And this is when the Human Target pulls off the mask, and he's like, "What have you done?" What's so weird about this is that I'm saying all this stuff, and it sounds quite crazy, but in a lot of ways, this is the most straightforward issue that this book's had. And some,
I kept waiting to get confused, but because at the beginning it's very the stuff that Ranvi's doing, it's you think that he's trying to hide something, right? That he's speaking almost in not like riddles or anything, but they're speaking around things. But then when you go back and talk about it and you realize where the issue goes, it is very straightforward. It's Human Target taking his place, right? And it's all set up, and you don't realize that, right? You don't realize that when Human Target's telling Resurrection Man, hey, you interviewed, you did this, you did that. And even Mitch Shelley, the Resurrection Man, tells him, I've never done anything of a job like that. I've never sat behind a desk. And Chance tells him, yeah, don't worry about it, right? And I thought it was just like hand waving of stuff going on, right? But that's like, no, because Shelley's not doing any of this stuff. Christopher Chance is, right? And so that's what it's going to go through. And then when we get to the whole reveal of him in the snow, it actually did take me a little bit by surprise. Because at that point, I was trying to figure out what the hell's going on with Samsara and the Techites and all this other stuff. I kind of forgot about the Human Target as a character being involved. So then it's revealed to him. I kind of had this haha moment. I was like, oh, of course. And yeah, so now I'm glad that we have another good Human Target story, right? So we have the Tom King one, and then we can point to this one, right? In this issue.
Yeah, I really liked kind of some of the art here. Like I think the almost the body horror of this medical contraption that Resurrection Man's put in that's holding his eye open, and there's all this like techno stuff all over his head. It just feels very like not even Clockwork Orange, it's more like Tetsuo the Iron Man or something like that. It's kind of wild. But I dig all that. I dig this idea of him questioning what makes a life and what makes a death, because by taking all of his memories of his past lives away, he is kind of like, in a way, really dying for the first time. Like, because if the memories are all gone, then that version of himself is kind of gone too.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really interesting thing to think about. But the only time it's really weird is when we go back to the the Nexus or whatever it's called, where all the gears with Samsara like debating with Resurrection Man. And he basically throws him into the gears, and the gears grind him because he's pissed now, and he's like, I'll just go find another alternate version of Resurrection Man. I'll find more Mitch Shelley's. Like, I don't need you specifically. And he's like having these like memories of all the people that he's cared about. And then, is this the Phantom Stranger at the end of the issue who shows up?
That is him.
Yeah. And like sort of pulls him out of the gears and says, hey, the consumer's coming. The consumer obviously being that villain who's been eating everything and getting power. He's like, hey, the consumer's coming. You know, the Great Devourer is what he calls him. Knocks upon the doors of this place. It's the last place in existence. It's now time to go and meet the end. And the last panel is him touching the scar over his chest. Presumably right over where the cube is. I mean, honestly, like I said, in some ways this is the most straightforward because it's kind of the most basic plot. But that's not to say that it's bad or weaker than anything. If anything, it was almost like nice to have a more straightforward issue, just to sort of like get grounded a little bit and just kind of get into the meat of it. Plus, it was a good, like you say, it was a good Human Target story in that sense. Because you're expecting the reveal to come at some point, like how they've tricked them, but you don't know exactly when it's coming, and it's satisfying because Samsara's like been so egotistical, a bit of a god complex, one might say.
Yeah, it's. I know you didn't watch this, at least I don't think you did, but all of Loki season 1, this is the plot of Loki season 1, just told in a much more concise story, told with Resurrection Man. That this big grand person that's lived through it all, who knows everything that you're gonna do, gets fooled, and that's what sets it off. So I just love how Ram V is able to make it such a joy to read, right? Because these are such big, heavy, subjects, and they're talking about destiny and what makes a life and all this other stuff. But then he's going to throw in this fun little subterfuge story in here at the same time. And and then that final, not the final panel, but on the last page of the Devourer coming, and it's just like this big cosmic entity that's heading towards, there's like this sense of doom here at the end. Man, it's just a very high quality read.
Yeah, like I said, art's very detailed throughout. Stuff like him like sinking into the sea of cogs and gears is a hell of an image. I think the stuff with all the medical apparatus towards the end when he's getting the surgery done is pretty like horrifying in a lot of ways. Like there's that big like 2/3 of a page panel where it's just basically open heart surgery, where they're all kind of like, there's like 5 doctors just around him all poking into him, and there's like tubes and cables going everywhere from his body. It's just like a really complex, like 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 almost like the wires and cables feel like an extension of like vessels and veins and stuff like that. Like it's almost like a techno body horror kind of mesh that's going on. And body horror's been a big thing in this book because of the Devourer, right?
Yeah.
Like he's his whole thing's been devouring other people and taking their abilities and so on. So yeah, really like it. Really excited to see how he like tries to stop the Devourer and perhaps Samsara next. Maybe he'll stop the Devourer first, and Samsara is more the end game of the whole book. But
Yeah.
excited to see where we're going with that.
Well, because if he stops the Devourer with like the Phantom Stranger, right, that kind of undercuts everything Samsara wants, because he wants to, stop that, right? Because that's the whole reason he's trying to get him to get the Keyverse, the thing that's in the heart.
Yeah.
Right? Wasn't it to stop the Great Devourer? So if he can do this on his own without all the things that the future version of him has done, that would kind of make the future version of him not exist. Right? So yeah. So I feel like he wouldn't like that either. So yeah, it's almost making himself in the future the big bad. So, but yeah, man. There's only one issue of this left, right? It's only 6 issues.
No.
Okay.
I'm sure it's 12.
Okay, because it feels like we're not quite there at the end yet. You know what I mean? I feel like there's so much more to touch on.
Easiest way is just to Google it, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Quantum Karma issue 7. Is there an issue 7? Oh, maybe there isn't. Maybe issue 6 is the last one.
I don't think so. Oh shoot! Well, then he's done a good job, because if he can wrap it all up in the next one,
I could have sworn this was going to be 12, but. Fair enough. Maybe I was hoping.
We didn't really talk news, but did you see the thing that Ram V was teasing on social media this week?
No.
A old school Sandman story of some kind. He just posted a picture of the Wesley Dodds mask in shadow with Jorge Fornes art. And if there was anything that immediately grabbed my attention, it's that.
I mean, are we sure it's Sandman and not My Bloody Valentine?
We're not, but the fact that, that Ram V, has a thing for a certain kind of story from like Vertigo, and Sandman Mystery Theater was a big Vertigo book. Like if he's just, even if it's not a series, if it's just a story that Ram V's doing, I am so here for a Sandman story.
I feel like you went further with that explanation than you need to. You could have just said, My Bloody Valentine's not a DC character, just left it at that.
True. I could have, but then, I wouldn't be me.
Yeah, that's very good. I mean, the art is like I say, detailed, but it's also very moody. Like those shots of Phantom Stranger towards the end just have this sort of sense of weight to them, where like it does feel like he's like really concerned, like the world or the existence as a whole is about to end. So, points where points are due. Matt, what are you giving Resurrection Man Quantum Karma issue 5?
I'm giving this a 9.5.
Ooh. I went with a straight 9 out of 10. It's amazing. It is amazing. But I don't know if it quite tickled my brain like the say issue 2 did, for example.
Well, I'm just happy to have another really cool Human Target story. So that gets an extra, 0.5 out of me.
Sure. All right.